Hey there guys, Master64 here, and welcome to Update 5 of Shrek 2.2. The main focus of Update number 5 was to focus on the main menu. Now I will tell you, I've got a lot more news than that, but let's just jump straight into it. So starting off, as you can see, the cutscene for this is pretty fast, and boom, here you go. Here is the new main menu. You can see that there are some new buttons on the right, such as multiplayer. Yes, I am actually planning on adding multiplayer, custom adventures for custom maps, and cheats, which I'm planning to implement far into the game's development, where you can unlock certain cheats and play around with them as you feel like, because I feel like that was a really cool aspect of old games before, and they just kind of stopped doing them for some reason. But yeah, I wanted to quickly ask you guys, before we move on to everything else, whether or not you guys want me to focus on multiplayer as a core feature for update number 6. So do let me know. Next, let's talk about the character changes I've done. Right now, what you're seeing is what all the new characters look and feel like. As you can see for Shrek, Shrek is a lot slower, but charging will speed him up, give him like a little bit of a charge boost, really. Shrek's purpose is to be able to absorb a significant amount of more damage than other characters, and Shrek is also one of the most powerful characters early game. When I was designing Shrek, I was thinking about essentially designing him to be what I would imagine would be the least cumbersome for a brand new player. And what I mean by that is I want Shrek to be a player that really any player of any skill level can pick up without much issue. This is why I made Shrek relatively slow, so that the player had a lot of control over where they're going to land and whatnot. Despite the fact that Shrek does jump a shorter distance than he did originally, I do think that Shrek is going to be a lot easier for new players to get used to, and it'll nicely transition into Donkey. Now, why does it transition well into Donkey? This is because Donkey is significantly faster than he used to be, and he's also all about his short hops. While Donkey doesn't have much jump height, he now has a lot more jump distance. And not only this, he also has a lot more air control while in the air. And all of this allows for Donkey, at least if you're an experienced player, to really just move around the maps at crazy speeds. And on top of this, Donkey is one of the only characters that can air jump, as shown right here, where he is capable of doing a double jump even while falling. This ability that Donkey has makes him incredibly powerful for many different reasons. I mean, just take a look at this clip here and look at how easy I can move around as Donkey. Like, I am absolutely just breezing across the map with no issue. Okay, now for PIB. Now, PIB is mainly a stealth character now. And what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is that I'm planning on PIB being the most agile character in the game by far. While he won't be anywhere close to the fastest character, I want him to make up for his lack of speed with his precision and his size. Some of the changes for PIB have been giving him more air control, making him take a lot more damage because he's a lot smaller, and making him take a lot less fall damage because he's smaller. Additionally, I gave PIB a backstabbing ability, and all you really need to know is that if PIB hits an enemy from behind, then he deals way more damage to them than normal. Now, Steed is basically a direct upgrade to Donkey in about every single way. He obviously has some parts to him that aren't quite as good, such as his acceleration. But overall, Steed is a lot more powerful in terms of movement because he can do 2 air jumps instead of 1, which is unlike Donkey, where Donkey can only do 1. And as you can see in this clip, I can absolutely just jump across the map if I feel like it. But again, due to Steed's lack of acceleration rate, it's really hard to move around the map at a fast speed, despite Steed being the fastest character in the game. Additionally, similarly with Donkey, Steed doesn't have much additional damage aside from his second attack, specifically his uppercut, that does a lot more damage than normal. I'm imagining that Steed is going to be really interesting and very difficult platforming levels. And finally, there's Shrek Human, and all you really need to know is Shrek Human is that he plays borderline like an unarmored knight that happens to be very athletic, meaning he can jump pretty high and far, and he does a ton of damage, but he also takes a lot of damage. This should be interesting in environments with a lot of enemies. Now, before we get on to the next part of this update video, I feel like it's important to mention this for context, but I'm planning on every single player in the game having a unique special ability that they can use. These are not implemented in any of the characters yet, but I'm almost positive that with these special abilities tied to a specific character, that it's going to make each character even more unique than I've already made them. I'm not planning on overcomplicating this, I'm simply going to add a special action key that will trigger their ability if they are able to use it. Anyway, let's get on to the next part of the update. So while I was working on the main menu, I realized that the intro movies were pretty low quality and bad, and they weren't going to work for Shrek 2.2, so I redid them. Here they are now. So, did you think that was better? Worse? Let me know. Anyway, let's move on to the next part of this update video. Now let's get into the options menu. In the options menu, oh boy, there's a lot of new options, so let's get into all of them real quick. So, the first thing we have is the Input tab, which as you can see, it lists all of the inputs. It doesn't list the special action key like I've mentioned previously, but eventually I'll be adding it here. You can also change your mouse sensitivity, and you can reset your keybinds. Next up, we have the Game tab. The Game tab currently contains a field of view slider, a difficulty mode, and the auto level camera mode as shown in the original game. The difficulty mode influences how easy or hard the game will be. The field of view slider increases your field of view, as you may imagine. Unlike the original game's field of view, Shrek 2.2 uses a vertical field of view slider, so that no matter what resolution you pick for the game will still appear correct. Next is the Sound tab, which is pretty self-explanatory. You get to change how loud the game is, how loud the music is, and you can also restart your sound driver if the game's audio happened to stop working at some point, or got out of sync. And now we have the video settings. A lot of pointless video settings have been removed, and a lot of helpful video settings have been added. First off, we have screen resolutions, which as you can see supports 16:9 and 4:3. We have the original high object detail, which changes how many objects spawn in each map. We now have the new shadow detail option, which determines how detailed shadows would be. And we have the option to change the view distance for when you think that the fog in a map is a bit too close. On top of adding these video settings, I've added advanced video settings. These settings require a game restart if you modify them, but they can modify a lot more detailed settings. You can now modify your frame rate limit, which impacts how smooth and unstable the game is. You have VRAM allocation, if that happens to be relevant to you. There's texture filtering for when you want sharp angles to appear at a better quality. You have anti-aliasing for removing the jagged pixels all across the game. You have the screen brightness, contrast, and color vibrancy, which are pretty self-explanatory. And then you also have performance mode and compatibility mode. Performance mode increases your performance, as you may imagine. It does it by 50%, at some minor costs, but I think they're worth it. And the compatibility mode, for if any changes I've done to Shrek 2's rendering device happens to be incompatible in your system. Now it's time for some potentially big modding news. I've been doing a lot of research in regards to whether or not we can modify the dialogues in Shrek 2. The issue with doing this is not that we can't do it, it's rather that when we do it, it removes all lip syncing from all of the actors in the game. This looks very off-putting in my opinion, and really takes away from the cutscenes in the game. As there's no way for me to fix this issue, I've decided to make my own lip syncing engine. Now the scope that I'm doing everything within is very limited, so the lip syncing simply cannot be as good as the original game. But in my opinion, if we can at least have some lip syncing and then we can add or modify or remove voices, that is a lot better than not having the ability to modify any of the dialogues. I am of the personal opinion that I think this is a completely fair trade. Yes, the lip syncing won't be quite as good, but perhaps that'll add some more characters to the game, who knows. Here's a clip of what the lip syncing looks like currently.
Are we there yet? How about now? I was just kidding. Seriously though. Now? You know what I've been thinking? We should start a band. Hey, that reminds me, who brought oats?
As you can see, it looks fine. It's not 100% accurate, as you can tell, and there's gonna be some dialogues that don't appear to sync up even a little bit, aside from their mouth simply moving. But why do I bring this up now? Well, here's the deal. For the scope of maps that are going to be needed for Shrek 2.2's development, we're going to need different voices for the characters, for the whole story to sound cohesive and believable. This is when someone reached out to me, this particular user going by the Gons fam, which is an interesting name to say the least. So I was obviously a bit skeptical whenever I was hearing from this random guy about it. It turns out that this guy actually knows how to voice Shrek and Donkey, and he does the movie impression. When I heard these impressions personally, which I'm going to show to you very soon, my personal opinion was that they were a lot better than the original game. So I wanted to hear your guys' opinions as to what you guys think about the voices. Please keep in mind that the voice actor can always perfect the voice. So if it doesn't quite sound perfect, we can always get it to sound just a little bit better. Additionally, I also asked Gons for a narrator impression and a Roy the Save Fairy impression, and very surprisingly, he was able to do these two basically on command. The clips that you'll hear of him doing those voices were basically on the spot with no preparation whatsoever. So yeah, let me know what it sounds like, and I'll let Gons take over for here. Let me know what you think.
Better out than in, I always say, Fiona. I like my privacy. Inside, waiting for us to rescue her. Do that again and see what happens. Oh no, I just wasted my potion. Can't we just settle this over a pint? No? Alright then, come on! Roar! A 4-leaf clover. Looks like green's my lucky color. Go back to Godmother School and learn some people skills, you dusty spinster. Wow, only a true friend would be that cruelly honest. 'Cause I'm all alone, there's no one here beside me. My problems have all gone, there's no one to deride me. But you gotta have friends. Whoa, look, it's a 4-leaf clover. But you're gonna have to get that later. I don't know, sleeping on a pea, spinning hay in the gold, kissing a frog. Nah, I really do have to take my sexy self shopping. Get a move on, Shrek. This is boring to watch. That's right, fool. Now I'm a flying talking donkey. You might have seen a housefly, maybe even a superfly. But I bet you ain't never seen a donkey fly. Ha ha. Oh, please. Man, go find somebody else's butt to kiss, all right? This one's mine. How much more abuse do I have to take? My money's on the green guy. I say we take the sword and neuter him right here. Give him the Bob Barker treatment. See all those crates? You can smash them to toothpicks by clicking your left mouse button. We can't live without a wheel. And we can't get the wheel till you beat up all these bandits. Are you following me? That looked like it really hurt. Do it again. Do it again. You know, in Spanish, a donkey is called a burro. I guess that means a little donkey is a burrito. Ha! Just run up to me to save your game. You're saved. Safe and sound. Ha! Saved by the bell. You made it. Hey, I'm Roy, your save fairy. If you see me flying around, run up to me and I'll save your game. Really sparks your sense of wonder, don't it? Tom Thumb, wanted for giving the finger. Georgie Porgy, wanted for kissing girls and making them cry. Rumpelstiltskin, wanted for spinning a yarn. The Emperor, wanted for indecent exposure.
Alright, that concludes all of the voice lines that Gon sent to me. If you think that they are as good as I think that they are, please voice your opinions down in the comments section below and or in the forum. So ending off this video, I made a forum. I recommend that you go to the forum and answer the 10 questions that are on there. And this will generally help with Shrek 2.2 development because it'll kind of tell me what people are really thinking about the whole project. The ultimate question is whether or not I'm going to be targeting multiplayer specifically now or not. I do know that if I work on multiplayer, it could potentially take a lot of time. I honestly don't know how long, but the plus would be that we can play Shrek 2 and Shrek 2.2 with other players, and I think that would be really awesome. And yes, you heard that right. This multiplayer mod is not just related to Shrek 2.2, although I want to natively incorporate it in Shrek 2.2. I also want it to be a standalone mod on its own, which would mean that we would have to make the standalone mod first, and then port it to Shrek 2.2. On the other hand, if I do work on multiplayer, there's also the risk of potentially not having the ability to make an update video for Shrek 2.2 for quite some time, and I don't like that risk necessarily, but if the multiplayer mod would be finished regardless, then I don't know if anyone's gonna care. Yeah, please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Anyway, that's gonna be all for this update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the new content that I've been introducing to this project, and yeah, see ya!